These are good days. Everything is going good with everything. 'Cause these are good days. Going good with everything. Going good with everything. I know that'd be good. These are good days. Everything is going good with everything. 'Cause these are good days. Good days. Good days.
Welcome to These Are Good Days with Lee Ann Miller.
And Matt Barris.
Well, Matt,
You're back.
I've got African beans.
Guess who's back? You have African beans?
African beans.
Tell me about African
Okay,
beans.
we visited an adorable little I would call it a little farmer's market stand
Okay.
with fruits and vegetables and beans and sugar and
Yeah.
flour. And it was a Compassion mom.
Cool.
And her daughter is a Compassion sponsored child, and she had this little stand. And
That's
I
awesome.
thought, you know what, I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna buy some of her beans, some
That's
of her dried
awesome.
beans. And if TSA takes them, they take them. I still supported
Do you have 'em?
her, and they made it through TSC.
You have 'em.
I've got beans,
Perfect.
African beans.
You're going to have African beans for all your ham needs.
It's so true.
all your ham is going to be just
It's so
wallering
true.
around in those
And
African
beans is so true.
I love that. Well, welcome home.
Oh,
Welcome home, Leanne Miller. Welcome home.
What a trip.
You had
what
an
a trip.
incredible trip.
We talked at one point, and both of us just cried. Pretty much, it's called the Ball Baby Podcast now.
That's our
So
sub.
That's our sub name.
headline or whatever. Yeah.
That's our second string name.
Yeah.
We cried off and on the whole time that
I
we
know.
talked when I was
I
gone,
know.
and you know, people will say when you go to a third world country or you go to a different country that lives differently and their approach to things and home and all of that
Yeah.
is so different that you come back changed, and it's so cliche, like I went on this thing, I came back a changed person. But I have come back feeling like I'm seeing things through a different lens.
Sure. Well, I mean, you walked into the studio where we record and you said this room is as big as some houses that 4, 5, 6 people live
Yes,
in.
correct. That's right.
So like
right.
that
That's
just gives perspective,
Yeah,
you know.
and-
Before we get too deep,
correct. Okay.
I'll say my good day because this podcast is going to be your good day.
This is like Africa Part 1.
Listen, my good day. You were in Africa.
Okay.
I was still in Ohio.
Oh, yes.
And we've had some crazy weather.
Yeah.
And listen, if you look at the news or you hear the news or you know a teacher, being a teacher can be really challenging. But one perk of being a teacher is a snow day. And we had a snow day recently and it was so fun. You know what we did on our snow day? I actually haven't told you this.
Oh, what?
Mallory started learning how to do granny squares, which I know our friend Amy used to do granny squares.
Yes, she did.
So Mallory taught herself a couple weeks ago how to start doing granny squares, and she wants to make a granny square blanket.
Okay.
And so my mom came over and we all went to Michael's. It was a cold day. So we weren't in for the snow. It's been
It's
really cold.
Sometimes here in Ohio, if the temperature dips down too low, they will cancel school because kids will get frostbite waiting for the bus.
Walking to school or waiting for the bus. So my mom picked us up. We went to the craft store and everybody picked out colors. And Mallory did a granny square class for all of us. So we can make a family blanket.
That's so great.
It's right now we're still in the very early stages. It's much harder than I thought. But we're going to get there.
that's so
hopefully
awesome.
by the end of this winter, we'll have a granny square blanket with our whole family.
That's so
we all
awesome.
have picked our own colors. So it'll be cool to see like, oh, that's
So-and-so's
Dad's
color.
or that's Luca's or whatever.
And the
So,
kids will remember. They're at the age they'll remember it.
Yeah, totally.
You've been dealing with some sickness too.
Listen,
your
I'm
family,
sick.
your family's been.
We got fevers.
been-
This 40-year-old had a 102-degree fever. What in the world?
That doesn't feel good.
What in
does
the
it?
world?
Doesn't
What
feel
in the
good.
world? No. And you know what you were doing? In Africa. You were in Africa. And I was here with a thermometer on my forehead.
Oh my goodness. Okay, my good day. My good day was okay. I'm going to pick one day from Africa.
Okay.
My good day, and if I cry, I cry. Okay. So I want to let you know that leading up to this trip, I had some thoughts. Right. I had some.
Sure.
I had some a little bit of fear or anxiety, but really just even about the length of the trip. How am I going to do? How am I going to keep up? How's it going to be? Are there going to be bugs? Am I going to be hot? Like, things like that. But one of the underlying things that I felt was and had thoughts about was, am I gonna just be so sad? Am I gonna be like filled with despair for
Yeah.
what's going on in the places that we visited and the people that we met? And when we pulled up to the first center that we went to, it was this big cinder block building, and a lot of the windows were open, and you could hear the kids singing and laughing and yelling because we had pulled up. And then immediately I was like, wait, this is not a sad place. And just that fast, around the corner comes this little marching band with a kid probably the oldest kid's 12, and they've got tambourines and drums and a bass drum, and they're marching, and I just couldn't hold it together because I was like, oh, this place isn't going to fill me with despair. This place is going to fill me with hope. And I think sometimes we get it turned around or backwards. Like we think we're going to go to this third world country and just like inject all the people with hope and care and love. And really what happens is the opposite. Like there's so much happiness. There's so much hope for the future. There's hope for, I hope that what I'm experiencing by being at this school and being at this center, I hope that my life can be different from the lives I might be experiencing around me, because there's a lot of poverty. We were in Nairobi, and there's the largest slum possibly in the world, definitely in the country, in Nairobi. Like I think it's a 2 or 3 mile radius where 700,000 people live, and it's just hut upon hut. Some of them are stacked on each other. It's wild. Yeah. And we just had, and I think my good day was that moment. That moment when I heard all the kids laughing and singing and screaming that we were there, and that marching band coming around the corner, and me just having this overwhelming feeling of like, this is a place of happiness, hope, and there's good things happening here.
That's so good. I think it's so good to see that. I think when you go to I've been on mission trips too. I think when you go to places like that, you sometimes think you're helping. I don't think that was your intention, but sometimes you think you're helping someone when really and something I love about compassion that we're going to talk about is it's teaching people to help themselves. And so when you showed up at that place, I think what I'm hearing you say is like joy was there, happiness was there, hope was there.
It was all already there.
Yeah, had nothing to do with you guys.
No, we're just adding to it.
Yeah, that's right.
We're
You're
just being
mixing in the
we're
flavors.
Just being an agent of like, hey, we want to join in with what is already
What's
happening.
already happening.
The feeling, the overwhelming feeling I have now, and I told our kids this, is this is what I've been thinking about on the flights back and the last day or so of our travel. I was thinking this, and I thought, oh, what if that is attached spiritually to the man who actually started compassion? Like, what if it all is a trickle effect? What if it's all God saying this man's heart was truly to do what he could.
Yeah.
And now that has had a ripple effect.
Totally.
And I just kept hearing or thinking, okay, Leanne Miller, knowing what you know now, what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. And so the founder, Everett Smith, that is what...
Everett Swanson.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Everett Swanson, that's what happened to him. He went to South Korea. It was after the war. And he saw so many houseless children on the streets, children just wandering the streets with no home. And while he was walking, he came across men that he thought were throwing rags in the dumpster. And when he got closer, he realized it was children. And when he got on the plane to come home, he said he just heard God say to him, okay, Everett, now that you've seen what you've seen, what are you going to do? And it's literally the same thing I feel like I'm experiencing. Yeah. And I'm like, what if it's just that question?
Yeah.
that God told him that he's just multiplying it.
Yeah.
And here, over 70 years later,
Yeah.
that I'm asking myself the same question.
That's
What,
amazing.
what are you going to do? I mean, I was at the co-op earlier, and listen, I'm going to give you fair warning. You come up to me and say, Leanne, what's going on? What's happening with you? What are you thinking about? What are you doing? You're going to hear it from me.
Yeah.
I was 30 minutes later than I would have been at the co-op because I ran into 6 people and they all heard about Compassion
Yeah.
and Africa and Nairobi and what's going on there.
That's awesome. So if this is your first podcast or you haven't been around, something really cool happened to Leanne a couple months ago. Is Compassion International is a global organization, a $1 billion I'm going to tell you all the facts about them here in a second. And through Carlos Whitaker, he hooked you up with this organization
Yes.
to really leverage your social media
Yes.
platform to raise awareness for the
Yes.
organization and truthfully to get more kids sponsored.
Yes.
To get children. And so Compassion International took Leanne and a group of people that use social media platforms.
Who I didn't
to
know, except
yeah,
for Carlos and Heather and Sohail. I
Yeah.
didn't know the other people.
took them and showed them the locations of where they're serving in Nairobi.
In Nairobi,
And-
yeah.
and-
They've been in Africa for 46 years, but Compassion's been around for over 70.
Yeah. What I love about, so I did some research for us because that's kind of my job, is Compassion is, you mentioned the founder,
Yep.
and you mentioned it was started 74 years ago. Right now, around the world, Compassion International supports 2.4 million children around the world.
Correct. Wild.
It's like a monthly sponsorship
Yeah.
program.
So you sponsor a child and
Yeah.
you pay a certain amount every month.
Right.
And
What did you see? Can you tell me?
you literally change. You change
Tell
the
me what the
trajectory.
money. Well,
Okay.
actually,
Okay.
pause on that.
Okay.
They're in 29 countries around the world, and they partner with 9,000 local places.
Correct.
So there's 9,000
Correct.
local like centers or
Yes.
stations around the
Yes.
world.
Mhm.
I do want to say this for some of you that have been around the block like us with nonprofits, it is a highly rated organization as well. You know,
by a
there's
third party, not rated
Right.
by themselves,
so
but rated by a
the
third
ones
party.
that I have are Charity Watch gives it a grade of A. It has a 4-star rating in Charity Navigator and the Better Business Bureau Wise Giving Alliance. It meets all 20 standards for their charities that they endorse. It's also been the way that I knew about Compassion was through Christian artists in the 90s
Yeah.
and people like Michael W. Smith,
Yes.
Amy Grant,
Yes.
CeCe Winans,
Yes.
Lauren Daigle, King and Country,
Yes.
Lecrae,
Yep.
even Tim Tebow, Steph Curry.
Yep.
These people
Yep.
have put their name
Yes.
to this organization to
That's
say,
right.
hey, this is something we want to focus on. I'm going to say this too, because I think this is fascinating. Kids, for you to qualify, there's a whole, do you know a lot about this?
Well, yeah, they vet. Go
Yeah.
ahead, keep going.
So they look at household income levels, they look at access to basic needs, they look at risk factors, so orphan children or single children homes.
Yep.
They look at children who are unable to afford school because
Yeah.
school
Free.
is not free in every country. And so the research that I did said, well, the sponsorship focuses on an individual child, the benefits often spill over into the family.
100%
So
what I saw.
let's go there. Let's go to when I give 40, I think it's $42 a
43.
month, $43 a month to Compassion International. From what you've seen, because I could read off a list of what they do, but
Right.
you saw it with your own
I
eyes.
saw it with my own eyes.
What does that money go to, and how does that impact the child,
Okay, the family, the
the
community.
family? And
yeah.
can you also, before you even do that, we talked about how it's 74 years old, but the longevity of locals running it. Because I think sometimes with things like this, we've all, if you grew up in evangelical circles like we did, I've been on missions trips, my family's been on missions trips, and you go and you do something and it's very kind and it's very great and it's well-intentioned, but then you leave.
Yeah.
And I think Compassion has a model that is sustainable, that is respectful and gives dignity to the people that are a
Yes.
part of the program. Can you
Also-
talk about that?
Yeah. Also, I think in my mind, I've thought about nonprofits that go in, and there's a lot of white people,
Sure.
not just Americans, but Europeans,
Sure.
white people that are that are at the organization in the country running things. It is not that way at all.
Right.
Every office, every center that we went to is operated by the local people in the local community.
Is it true to say many of them are graduates of the program?
Many of them are alumni. It's
Yeah.
wild how many.
Yeah.
There one place we went to that had over 300 kids there. The director was 30 years old and a former alumni.
Wow.
And impressive. These directors, you saw one on my Instagram stories.
She was wonderful.
Oh, wonderful. These directors are, first of all, they are so sharp. Second of all, they don't play around.
Yeah.
You know, they know these kids. They know how to.
They know the
like,
culture.
It's almost like running the classroom, right? I mean,
Sure.
they're like, everybody
I got your
line
number.
up. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
I got
exactly.
your number.
Exactly. Another thing that impresses me about them, when we give to a charity or a nonprofit, let's even use Huddle as an example for a local nonprofit. We all always wonder, or always want or hope, is my money going to the right place? Is it being
Sure.
used in the right way? Are we being accountable? Well, let me tell you, they are accountable down to the pencils at Compassion. And what I love about it is that you can go online and you can download the Compassion app, and the child you sponsor is on that app. And then
that's cool.
and then you have the ability to go in and say, like, give a birthday gift, give a family gift, give a Christmas gift. Now, these are all flat Stanley gifts. You cannot do an actual package
Sure.
with a little purse and a race car and whatever and mail it. These are all like, they said, think of flat Stanley, like anything, because what they do on the other end is they print all that out. So when you write a letter now with Compassion, you write it in your app, you send it, and they just print it.
Wow, that's
Our
cool.
one guy, Ken, is in charge of the office that gives and receives all the letters. And
Wow.
it is like so cool to be in that room with all those letters. It's just so
That's
neat.
cool.
And they facilitate that once a week. Once a week, the letters are coming in, going out, coming in, going out. And they have these two big, huge printers, and they're running all the time. One thing I loved about it is when you give money, your $43, if you want to say you want to give a birthday gift of $40. So my daughter-in-law, Emma, grew up with her family sponsoring a child.
Yeah.
She gave a birthday gift of X amount of money. She got back a letter with her child telling her all the things they bought for her birthday. 3 pairs of socks, underwear, a new pair of shoes. And here's the kicker, though. Say she gave $40 for the birthday. They don't just hand the $40 to the family. A caseworker or a social worker goes to the house and says, hey, your sponsor family has given $40 to take Amy shopping for her birthday. And she wants her to get some things that she needs.
Right.
So they will take her. They will go and they will take her to do that shopping to get what she needs. So it's not like if you say you wanted to give your sponsor family, this family you sponsor, $250. They don't just hand the $250 to them.
Sure.
They help them
It's
decide,
managed.
and I love that because we all don't want to think about like, oh, if I give $250, what if it is spent on something that is actually not going to be helpful for them?
Sure.
And there's also a whole area or whole arm of these centers that is really social work, where they go on to family visits, where if a child is out of school for 2 days, they will go and check on that child.
Right. I saw on one of your things there was a class around abuse.
Yeah.
They were teaching kids how to recognize abuse and how to not be a victim.
And how to stay safe.
And how to stand up for themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
It's appears as though it's very holistic, like very whole child focused.
Very.
Yeah. So when you think of like the $43, what does that, like, it's running the center? There's snacks there. They come every day.
Food. Like food is a big thing.
Yeah.
It helps with their food. It helps with, also water's a big thing.
Yeah.
And then education. So the educational arm of it, which I loved to know this as well. So say that the child we sponsor is 1.5. So she's not going to be in school for, for a while, right?
Right.
So Jasmine's mom, the baby that we sponsor, the 1.5-year-old, her mother, his name is Lisa. Lisa was in their Nurturers program. So Compassion has a program called Nurturers. And so what happened with Lisa is that the social worker or the caseworker of that center heard about Lisa, or Lisa contacted them, went out on a home visit. She's pregnant, 4 or 5 months long pregnant. And they say, okay, we need to ask you some questions. We need to sit down with you, and we want to see if you qualify or a good candidate for our prenatal, postnatal program within Compassion, the Nurturers program. And she did. So she got all her prenatal care, all her postnatal care.
Wow.
And then when her child turns 1, that child can be a sponsored child. So that's the child D&I sponsored.
Gotcha.
When Jasmine gets to be kindergarten, part of that $43 will go toward her being able to go to school.
Gotcha. That's amazing.
So when you see videos on social media and they're all in their little uniforms and all of that, they told us, like, sometimes it's about that's the only outfit. That's one of the only outfits a kid will have.
Right.
And so you'll see them in their uniforms and going to classes and going to school. Compassion will cover that money will cover 80 to 90% of their schooling. Now it's different for different countries.
Sure.
But they don't provide 100% of the schooling because they want the parents and the families to have buy-in.
Sure.
They want them to have their dignity. They want them to have ownership of it. They want them working, right? To make a little bit of money that they can give toward those school fees.
Right.
And so I got to meet Jasmine's mom and dad, Abraham and Lisa. And before we left, Heather and Carlos Whitaker were on that trip, and this is like their 8th trip. And they model very well how to navigate being at a center, because it can be very overwhelming.
Sure.
And you're really not sure culturally exactly what to do. But before we were leaving, Heather was talking to the mom and the dad, and actually she was talking to the mom, and she said, Lisa, stay in program. Keep Jasmine in program, stay in program. And I thought later, well, she was saying that, keep meeting the criteria for her to be here, because they have to meet a criteria. This isn't just, sometimes helping hurts. Sometimes, just giving people money or whatever is not what the remedy, the full scale remedy is.
Right.
And so I was, I just have come home like, what are you going to do about this now?
Sure. Tell me a little bit more about how does it change a family? So for Jasmine, what's her dad's name?
Her dad's name is Abraham. Her mom's name is Lisa.
How does her sponsorship, besides supporting financially, how does it impact mom and dad?
Well, as far as if you go into the Nurturers program, you have these women that are pregnant, right? Some of them are single moms. A lot of them are single moms. So and I'll share on my Instagram later, during this week too, a little bit about this. So there was a whole group of women at church on Sunday morning at this specific center that were women that were part of the Nurturers program.
Okay.
All of those women have taken classes and been taught a trade. So some of them were knitting and crocheting purses
During church?
No.
Oh, I was going to say that's kind of cool.
No, it was after church. We had lunch, and they had a whole big table set up of the things that the trades they have learned and the things they are making, and that are bringing them income.
Wow.
And one of them was crochet purses, and they are amazing. I bought one. Amazing.
Wow.
Actually, we will put a picture of the purse I bought on Patreon, and I already know, I can already feel it. There will be people saying, I want to buy one of those. Yes. But they were.
Do we know how to do that?
We will find out. I'm working on that because I didn't share it on Instagram while I was there in real time because I already knew what would happen.
I don't want to get inundated with.
But I'm working on how we can do that. But I was, so they made keychains, they made bracelets, they made purses, they made beautiful tie-dye tablecloths.
Yeah.
My new friend Rachel Autry, who has a lovely podcast and who wrote a book called Love Your Life. She got the last tablecloth, that little stinker.
Were you like,
and
give it to me?
and we're gonna do the traveling tablecloth.
Yeah.
So
that's
the
cool.
tablecloth will travel. We'll have a meal where we celebrate compassion and talk about compassion.
That's very cool.
And the tablecloth's going to travel.
That's very cool.
But they made tablecloths and they have taught them how to have a little business.
That's awesome.
And
so it's adult education too. It's
correct.
not just
Yes.
It's not just needs. It's also how to better your life and advance yourself.
Yes.
That's really
yes.
cool.
Really cool.
That's really cool. What I know, Compassion is a faith-based organization.
Right.
How does faith play a part in what Compassion does?
Well, that's a great question. So if we look at different organizations, I'll use World Vision as an example. Compassion's model is they always partner with a church.
Okay.
So they
there's
have found
local support on the ground.
So they have found by partnering with a church
Yeah.
that has a pastor and their whole operating board. They also have a program director, and then with the program director, there are caseworkers and social workers, and they're also
Wow.
working with, they're working with local government, and they're working in tandem with people that are local.
Right.
And I think that's part of the success is that they have partnered with the local church. We went to church on Sunday morning, and I was prepared for a very long service because they told us it would be 2 to 3 hours, and I thought it would be all in Swahili. I thought I'm not going to understand a word of it.
Right.
I took my journal along. Well, this particular preacher, who has asked to be on the podcast, by the way, was so
That's amazing.
incredible, so good. He said, "Oh, I have been to Ohio," and I said, "You have?" He said, "Have you heard of Cincinnati?" And I'm like, "Yes, I have."
That's hilarious.
So he oversees 50 churches in the region. So inspiring, such a good teaching pastor, but he had a translator. And I took notes the entire time. I
awesome.
was, and the singing, oh my gosh, the singing.
Yeah.
The singing and the songs, incredible. I had some moments where I felt like God was speaking directly to me, to my life.
Sure.
Not necessarily about generosity or not necessarily about the kids or what was happening. It was to me, and it had all to do with the music.
Yeah.
And several of the centers, the kids. Well, first of all, the kids when they sing, if that does not fill you
Yeah.
with all things good and joy and inspire you, your heart is dead. I mean, because it was
Yeah.
so uplifting, but the part that I was not prepared for, that I was just crying, and the kids kept looking at me like, "What, is she okay? Is everything all right?" Because I was crying because of what the Lord was saying to me.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember that song, Father Abraham? Sing me a line.
Father Abraham had many sons. Many sons had Father Abraham. And you go through the whole thing.
You
Yeah.
say right arm, left arm. Okay. I was fighting back sobs
Yeah.
because I wasn't expecting that song. And then I wasn't expecting the songs that came before and after that were songs from my childhood.
Yeah.
And it was like the Lord was saying to me, like, I know you've been hurt by the church.
Sure.
I know you've dealt with some stuff, but I want to remind you of the little girl that you are.
Sure.
Like, I want to remind you that I still see you. You can still be joyous about me.
Right.
You can still praise and worship me. You know,
Right.
I am not necessarily every Christian, right?
Right.
Because
God
often
is not every Christian.
Often we gauge God, or we view God, or we give God a grade based on the people that say
Totally.
that they're serving and believing in Him.
Totally.
And it was like His way of saying, I'm here, I see you, and I am all around the world.
Right.
I mean,
right.
like there are no borders when it
Right.
comes to the Lord.
Right. That's amazing. Can you tell the story of what Lisa said to you when you met Jasmine's mom, Lisa?
Oh my gosh. So when I got to the center, there was this little girl running around in an animal print coat. Now, I was hotter than blazes, but they thought it was a little chilly there.
That's
so she's running around in this leopard coat with these cute little pants on, and her hair was so just beautiful, and she was adorable. This little kids running around. And I lean over to Sohaila Whitaker and I say, what if that's her? Because the picture I saw wasn't old, I had seen was an
Sure.
older picture. I said, what if that's her? And Sohaila said, well, it might be, because she was at school age. So that was that. And then probably 2 hours later, they said, oh, Leon, do you want to meet your sponsored child? I said, yeah. And it was her. It was the little girl that I'd seen. And she was there with her dad. And one of our guides, his name is Kennedy. He was amazing, also former alumni, and he's the one who handles the letters. If you sponsor a child with compassion and you're listening, just know that Kennedy is handling your letters, and your letters are getting to the kids.
Right.
And the kids' letters are getting to you through this guy.
And the kids know the names of their sponsors.
Oh, Matt, that was another thing. That got me.
Shocked me.
That got me.
Yeah.
At one center, these 3 little kids run up, and this little kid comes up to my, just tiny, like 4 years old. And he's saying, Nick. And I lean down and I say, what? He says, Nick, do you know Nick from Europe?
I love that. It's so important.
No. And then the next girl said, do you know Helen? I said, I don't know Helen, honey. She said, Helen from America. Do you know Helen? I said, no. And then the next kid said, Brenda. Do you know Brenda from the Netherlands? And I said,
so
no, I don't know Brenda. But they're so passionate about their sponsors, and they're so hoping that you know them.
Yeah.
So Kennedy said, so I met Jasmine, and Jasmine was with her dad. Not her social worker, not a caseworker, not somebody from the center. Her dad had brought her. And Kennedy said, I'm so glad to see that Jasmine's dad brought her.
Yeah.
Like he said, sometimes that's not the case.
Sure.
Her dad is in her life. Her dad brought her. It's very obvious she's crazy about her dad.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to eat her up and she kept reaching for her dad,
Yeah.
And then her mom, I asked where her mom was, because if you sponsor a compassion child, if you look at the list, and we'll put the list in the show notes, if you look at the list, if they are pictured with their mother has been through the nurture program.
Gotcha.
So you are sponsoring a child whose mother has been through the prenatal postnatal care of compassion, right?
Right.
That's why they're pictured with their mom.
Right.
So I wanted to meet her mom because, I'd seen her mom in the picture too.
Sure,
and
sure.
she was at her job and she does laundry. And so we went to a house visit and came back, and we went into the room where we were having our lunch. And there was this beautiful Black woman sitting at the end of the table who looked very young, and it was her mom. And they're like, that's Jasmine's mom. I'm like, no way. So I sit down and we talk, and she's just vibrant. And, I asked her about her job, and she talked, and I said, what do you like to do? What are you interested in? And she looked at me, and these were the words that came out of her mouth. She did not know me. I had not written them a letter yet. I did not really know much about them. I just knew their need. She did not know much about me at all. I mean, this is a pretty new this was a pretty new sponsorship.
Sure.
And she leaned over and she said, oh, my passion is hospitality.
Amazing. Amazing. Like, if you don't feel seen in that.
And I was like, wait, what? And she said, my passion is hospitality. And I could not believe it. And then she said, oh, can you come to my home? We can walk there. It's close. I want you to come see my home. I wanted to so bad, but you have to stick to the schedule.
Sure.
But I wanted to so badly because I'm like, this is a hospitality girl. She wants to invite me into her home, and it's so special.
Right.
And yeah, I'm just looking forward to the future with them.
Totally.
Communicating with them. She said to me before I left, she said, please write me letters. I said, I will write you.
That's so
and she said,
sweet.
every day if you want to.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Every day if you want to.
Yeah.
And I thought, like.
How special that you know her, though. That you have a face to a name and you got to spend time with them.
Right. And her passion is hospitality.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
I love that.
And then, we were traveling with leaders, with compassion leaders that, really know the drill. And one of the leaders, whose name is Matt, And his wife works at Liberty University, which small world, but I really, really liked him. And I loved all the leaders. They were all awesome. But Matt was telling me that their sponsored child had a fire and their place burned down. So they gave, every country's different and there is a cap. You can't just go on and give $10,000. So there's a cap depending on the country. The cap, I think where we were, I think the caps were around $1,000. But their sponsored child in Haiti's home burned down.
Wow.
And they were able to do a one-time family gift of $1,000, and it rebuilt them another house.
Wow, that's amazing.
$1,000.
That's amazing.
So yeah, and then there's all kinds of different things you can do with Compassion. You can DM me about it if you want, or again, we will have a link in the show notes how you can sponsor a child, and the link in the show notes will take you to a list of children in Africa who are waiting to be sponsored in Kenya. And it is a list of 14,000 kids waiting to be sponsored, just waiting.
Wow, that's amazing.
Waiting for you and I to really just move the needle.
Yeah. Well, we have a little bit of a plan for how we're going to talk about your Africa trip. This is the first time and it's not the last time.
Yes.
But we do, before we thank you for sharing these. Sure. What I love about this moment is at the time of recording this podcast, you haven't even been home for 24 hours yet.
Right,
so this is really fresh.
Really fresh. I wanted to do it soon.
Yeah. This is real fresh.
I don't want to forget how I'm feeling, and I don't want to let up on the gas.
Sure. I love that. Speaking of places that help others, did you know this, but to our podcast community, that Walnut Creek Cheese and Foods is one of, from what I know in our area, one of the most generous businesses that supports local
and they've
places.
done stuff with Compassion, which I didn't even know.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
They support O Huddle in different ways. They've supported me at my local school when I've said, hey, can I get a pallet of cinnamon rolls? And we delivered them to teachers.
Well, remember the years I facilitated and raised money to give a car away.
Yeah.
Walnut Creek Foods always were one of the first to give $1,000.
Yep. We had a thing happen at school last year where we needed a very specific candy for an activity, and they
pulled through.
Yeah, they pulled through.
They really are a generous business.
Yeah.
Walnut Creek Foods, Walnut Creek Cheese and Market, generous people. Which, by the way, let's talk about food for a second. I took some of their beef jerky.
Love it. Perfect travel snack.
Perfect to travel. If it stays sealed, I will tell you this: if beef jerky or beef sticks are vacuum sealed, they will stay nice for a while.
Yeah.
Once you open them, especially if you're in a hot area, once you open them, consume, because you can't open them and be like, oh, I'll just roll up the bag, or oh, I'll just put this half a beef stick in something and eat it 3 days from now. That won't work.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not refrigerating it. But beef jerky, it was a wonder. Beef jerky and beef sticks, Uncle Mike's from Walnut Creek Foods.
Beef jerky is so good.
It's such a great travel protein.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Hey, well, thank you so much for joining us in this podcast all about Leanne's Africa trip. Welcome home, Leanne.
Yes,
Welcome home.
Thank you.
I love hearing all of your lessons, and I hope that you guys enjoyed hearing all about it. Check out the show notes at the end of today, because there'll be lists for you. If something Leanne said triggered your heart or made you think about something differently, or made you go, ooh, I've been wanting to do that, or I've heard about Compassion, but now I know more. Click the link and check it out, because I think it is such a valuable organization that's changing people's lives in a very responsible way.
They are
holistic way.
Yes, and they're well oiled. They've got it down.
I love that. Whether ordinary or extraordinary, we hope you see that these are good days.
This episode brought to you by Walnut Creek Foods.